लाइट आती थी ना उसमें, उसमें नहीं आई तो क्या करूं? कैसे काम करते हैं? ठीक है, कैसे क्यों? अभी तो था यार, इसमें है उसका चेंज कर रही, यहाँ से करो, डोंट हैव जूम क्लाइंट से बंद कर देता हूँ, है लेट मी सी, आ तो गया, दैट्स राइट, आई एम हियर, मैं उसको बढ़ा देता हूँ, एंड नाउ आई कैन स्टार्ट वीडियो, आई कैन स्टार्ट माय वीडियो। Yeah.
Can you start, sir?
Hello.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
I'm just, yeah, I'm ready whenever you wish to begin. It's still time, but yeah, I'm ready.
Good morning, Professor.
Good morning.
In this pleasant morning, the management, principal, faculty, and staff of Rajagopal Polytechnic College, Gudiyatham, located in Tamil Nadu, cordially invite our distinguished chair, Professor Prem, Pro-Chancellor, Professor of Eminence, and Chief Mentor, the North Cap University, Gurugram, Haryana, India, former Director, IIT Roorkee, former Vice Chancellor, UPTU, Lucknow, to our midst for delivering expert lecture on quality management in technical institution under AICTE Distinguished Chair Professor Scheme. No person was ever honored for what he received. Honor has been the reward for what he gave, says Calvin Coolidge. We are fortunate and honored by your presence, sir, and for your valuable service rendered to welfare of society. We acknowledge with thanks the AICTE Chairman, Director of Faculty Development Cell, and its officials for permitting our institution to conduct this online lecture. We welcome all the participants throughout India attending this lecture through online mode. I am immensely glad to give a brief profile of your distinguished chair professor. Professor Vrat is the Chairman, Board of Governors of Indian Institute of Technology, ISM Dhanbad, an outstanding academician, Pro-Chancellor, Professor of Eminence, and Chief Mentor at the North Cap University, Gurugram. And also he was founder director of IIT Roorkee, Vice Chancellor of Uttar Pradesh Technical University, Lucknow. He was Chairman, Board of Governors of WIT, Dehradun, a constituent institute of Uttarakhand Technical University, and also is AICTE Distinguished Chair Professor. He has extensive experience of more than 53 years in teaching, research, management development, and consultancy. He has guided 49 PhD theses, 118 MTech and 65 BTech major projects on industrial application of system approach and management science. He has published more than 506 research papers in refuted journals and proceedings of international and national conferences. The research papers have received more than 8,827 citations with a G index of 92, and maximum citation of a paper has 1,727 as per Google Scholar. He authored and co-authored 7 books and completed 5 sponsored projects and 36 consultancy assignments. His book, Productive Management, a System Approach, received awards from DMA as well as ISPB. Recipient of multiple awards and recognitions, Professor Vrat was conferred Doctor of Engineering by Bundelkhand University, Distinguished Alumnus Award by IIT Kharagpur, Distinguished Service Award by IIT Delhi. He was conferred the Lifetime Achievement Award at the 18th Annual International Conference of the Society of Operations Management at IIT Roorkee in December 2014. He received Dr. M.C. Puri Memorial Award of ORSI for his outstanding contribution for promotion of operational research in India and Lifetime Achievement Award 2017 by the Indian Institution of Industrial Engineering. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister felicitated him on the 26th July 2019 for his valuable contributions as Vice Chancellor of EPTU. During his tenure, IEOM Society International, based in the USA, conferred on him the Distinguished Educator Award 2021 for his distinguished achievements. He also received the Great Indian Teacher Award conferred during LEAD Global Conclave on 4 September 2021. He has been on the Board of Governors of many technical institutions and universities, on the editorial boards of many Indian and foreign journals, Independent Director on the Board of Air India, Co-Chairperson Vrat DRDO, Advisory Group of Experts for Technology, Upgradation in Indian Railways, and member EC of IMCA University. He was Chairman INAE Forum on Engineering Education, member Board of Governors of National Institute of Industrial Engineering, and member Task Force by MOE on Engineering Education and Regional Languages, and Chairman National Credit Framework. He has been Chairman of the AICTE Visvesvaraya Best Teacher Awards Committee for 2020 and 2021. I, on behalf of the Commissioner of Technical Education and on behalf of our principal, welcome all the learned participants. Over to you, sir, for your expert lecture. We await for your suggestions and expert advice towards quality management in technical institutions. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are you able to hear me?
Sure, sir.
Okay. Good morning, principal, faculty members, and the audience linked to this particular lecture. This is after a very, very long time I'm speaking to polytechnic level institution, and therefore I'm not quite sure whether the point I'll be making would be relevant to you, but this is what I thought can be. To me, one thing's for sure, quality is important at every level, be it ITI, be it polytechnic, be it an engineering college, be a research institution, be a manufacturing system, be a service system. And therefore, the concept of quality that I talk about in today's lecture are intended for the quality of technical education, primarily the degree institutions in mind. That's where I've been associated for almost more than 50. But I'm sure that many of these concepts will be as much applicable to polytechnic level education. What I would suggest that perhaps you can make this talk more interactive by asking questions which may be more relevant to your own context, because to me, issues of quality are fundamental. And a very simple take for quality for those that anything in life which is worth doing has quality dimensions, and anything which does not have quality dimension is not worth doing. And therefore, be it polytechnic education, be it ITI, be it tech, BTech, MTech, PhD, or whichever quality issues, and therefore the one I'm talking perhaps are more relevant for the technical education in general. Now, I do not know. Shall I be sharing my my PowerPoints myself? Now, what I suggest, if I can share it myself, I'll be able to control the PPTs. So let me try out. If in case I fail to do so, you can then control the PowerPoints to okay, share. Let me see, share, and are you able to see this? Hello?
Sure, sir.
You're able to see this, isn't it? Okay.
Now, if you're able to see this, then I suppose that I will myself coordinate and control the PowerPoint so that I can skip some of the PPTs which may not be very relevant for you. And therefore, the theme that has been given to me is, and let me put it in slide mode, is quality management in technical institutions, for which we must first understand what is meant by quality management. Now, quality.
Sorry for interruption.
No,
Sir, share your PPT, sir.
I'm sharing that. I'm sharing that. Are you see that? Hello?
It's not visible, sir.
Not visible. How is it? I'm able to change them. Let me see. Let me see. Get back. Stop sharing. Stop share. Let me see. Share. Can you see it now? Hello? Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
You are able to see the PPTs or no?
Yes, sir.
All right. And if I
It's
change
visible,
the, you can see that. And okay. Yeah. Therefore, let's understand what's quality. Now, quality in general means conformance to customers' requirements. Because once you understand the quality in the context of technical education, you must understand who are the customers of technical education. Because the concept of quality management applied to technical institution is what the theme of this lecture. And for that, we must therefore understand what is meant by quality in general, and then specific to the context of technical education, how do we define quality? And therefore, the general definition of quality is that quality is conformance to customers' requirements. Now, this is important because there is no absolute standard of quality. Quality depends upon the context for which you are, the constituency that you are serving. For example, and therefore, first you identify a customer. For example, the quality in the context of a diploma institution, and in the case of an ITI, or in the case of a degree or a postgraduate institution or a research, have different focus because the customers are different. And then what's important is first to identify the customers for whom you are serving, and then identify their needs, their requirements, and conforming to those requirements is quality. This is the latest paradigm on quality, because quality does not mean good enough. Quality means just conform to what people need, what your customers need. And therefore, earlier, now, for example, in the context of education or technical education, who are your customers? Let's say in the case of a diploma institution that I'm talking to now, or a polytechnic college, your immediate customers are your students. And your ultimate customers are the employers of these students, or the society, or the government. And therefore, when you develop your curriculum, when you deliver the courses, when you deliver the teaching learning processes in your institution, you have to keep in mind what are the kind of skill sets that these people need as an immediate customer, but the ultimate customers are their employers. And therefore, what are the requirements of the employers expected from a diploma or a graduate or a postgraduate, and therefore identifying those needs, and then try to develop the teaching learning processes to conform to those needs. Now, conform means exactly what they require, no less, no more. And that's why there is no absolute standard. For example, giving to a diploma college the course level which is of a postgraduate level is not quality. You may say better than quality. There is nothing like better. Conforming to your requirements of your customers. If you are a diploma student, what are the requirements in terms of their employees? And therefore, immediate customers are the students that we serve, and the ultimate customers are the employers. Now, students in general, perhaps a very special type of customers. They are our customers as well as our product. For example, if we nurture these people, they become our product. So that's, and therefore, from the employer's point of view, if we take employer as our customer, our students become our product. But when we are teaching them in the classroom, they become our immediate customer. And therefore, our students are a very special type of customers. Now, therefore, quality means conforming to the requirements of the customer. Exactly, requirement, which in turn should lead you what kind of courses should be taught, what kind of teaching, practical and theory classes, what kind of internship, and therefore the entire course delivery and the conduct of the teaching learning processes are driven by this fact that we have to give exactly what our employers require. We have to give exactly through our students what their employers or the society require. And therefore, another important concept that is now giving, that you use the word customer delight. Classically, the term used was customer satisfaction. You would have come across this term, customer satisfaction. Now, customer satisfaction is a very neutral term. For example, in IT system, our C grade is called a satisfactory grade, but hardly any student gets satisfied with a C grade. So therefore, since customer satisfaction is a very neutral, indifferent term, in order to look positive, the term required is customer delight. So what differentiates customer satisfaction to customer delight is that the implicit, explicit, and even unexpected requirement of the customers, if they are fulfilled, then it's more than satisfaction, it becomes a customer delight. And therefore, if you wish to really become a great institution, you should aim at customer delight by delivering great customer experience. And therefore, ultimate objective of a quality and technical education system at whatever level, and therefore you can dovetail it at your level of deliberations, that our purpose of delivering quality is to deliver a great customer experience. Now, what that great customer experience means, that for our immediate customers, our classrooms, our laboratories, the customers get absolutely excited about the way we teach them. We nurture them, we equip them with skills and knowledge and attitudes. And our ultimate customers, when companies come for placement or come campus interviews, they feel extremely delighted as the customers who employ your product, the student, and therefore delivering a great customer experience, both in terms of students' experience in the college and the employer's experience with your students. And if you do that, you actually are delivering quality. And therefore, when we talk of quality and technical quality management and technical education system, we should understand what quality means in the context of technical education and deliver that great customer experience by conforming to exactly what the requirements are. If we understand this concept of quality, we will then evolve the right kind of course structure. And now the concept of total quality management, in fact, TQM, which is a relatively recent concept in quality management. Earlier, we used to call it quality control. Then came quality assurance. Then came quality management, and then came total quality management. So I'm talking the context of total quality management because quality control is a very outdated term. Because quality being a good thing, why would like to control quality? You'd nurture quality. As a result, quality control has lost meaning. Quality assurance, yes, it's an objective, but total quality management is what ultimately an institution should look at. And therefore, when I'm talking of the quality management and technical institution, I'm actually trying to bring in a TQM approach, a total quality management approach in the management of technical education system. Now, let's understand what TQM means. TQM primarily is a process that creates a culture of total continuous improvement. And therefore, essentially, TQM is a quality culture of an organization. That culture evolves processes so that everyone in the organization deals with a culture of total continuous improvement. And therefore, TCI, total continuous improvement, is the essence. And therefore, if you can create a process, and mind you, TQM is not a project. It's a journey. It's a never-ending journey. The journey to quality never ends. And therefore, a TQM is not a project. It's a journey. it's like riding a bicycle. The moment you stop, you fall. And therefore, there has to be a continuous improvement in the system. Even if you're already an outstanding institution, even there lies a room for improvement. In fact, the room for improvement is the largest room under the sun. Even if you're already outstanding, still there is a room for improvement. And therefore, bringing that culture of total continuous improvement is what total quality management means. And the context in here is technical education, which means we define what constitutes quality in technical education, which I'll be talking about as we move forward. Now, therefore, let's look at what does this culture of total continuous improvement mean. Total means involving everyone. And therefore, this actually is what is critical for an organization to understand, that when you're talking of total quality management, you're talking of involving everyone right from top floor to shop floor, which means that everyone, right from the the owners of the institution or the regulators, the principal, the HODs, the lecturers, teachers, students, faculty, even parents, everyone is passionately involved in continuously improving your processes, systems. And therefore, total means involving everyone. And therefore, one should not understand that is the role of a principal alone to deliver quality experience, or the role of a teacher alone in the classroom. It is everyone, right from top to bottom. Because if you only give responsibility to an individual, it's called quality paradox, that if only one particular person becomes in charge of delivering quality, quality would be a casualty, because quality needs to be nurtured by everyone. And from a system perspective, everyone has a role to play in improving quality. And therefore, it is not few persons' job, it is everyone in the organization, right from top to bottom. And this is the meaning of total. So involving everyone. And the word is involving, not participating. But when and you can see the difference between involvement and participation. Participation may be physical. Like, for example, some of you may be logged in to listen to my lecture, you are participating. But if you are passionately involved in the discussion or the interaction, that's involved. So involvement is participation plus commitment plus pride in doing what you're doing. And therefore, you then become a self-driven individual. And therefore, to create a culture of quality, we need to generate, and that's where the role of leadership, to inspire people, the role of teachers to inspire people. And therefore, total means involving everyone. Continuous is forever. That means our journey to quality never ends. So you create a culture that you may be already good enough, still find out better ways, and they continue forever. And the term improvement has 3 dimensions. First dimension is elimination of waste. Now, waste is any unnecessary input and undesirable output from any system. And therefore, try to eliminate waste of all kinds. That means giving courses which are not required is a waste. Teaching irrelevant courses is a waste. Waste of time, space, materials, money. So elimination of waste of every kind is a part of teaching total. So when you're looking at the quality management in your organization, find out the areas where you may be wasting resources. Wasting resources means unnecessary input and undesirable output from the system. And therefore, for example, a student failing to clear the course is a waste, undesirable output, because in the system, you expect them to clear the course or come with distinction. And therefore, if a student is not able to clear the course, it's an undesirable outcome, undesirable output. And therefore, the moment you look at the term waste from a very generic perspective, any unnecessary input and undesirable output from a system is a waste. And therefore, eliminate waste of all kinds. So in a way, total quality management involves optimal utilization of your resources without wasting, and therefore towards zero waste. Second one is reducing variability. Now, variability is a sign of the lack of quality. Variability is actually standard deviation. If you've seen in statistical language, as you know, for example, variability is a dispersion. So when you're looking at a product quality or even a student's quality, variability would mean if your student performance varies from D grade to A grade, that's a variability. If almost every student is consistently able to perform to outstanding level, that is low variability. And therefore, our purpose of reduction of variability is to reduce the standard deviation of performance. And therefore, as a result, smaller the standard deviation, because standard deviation in statistics is taken as a measure of variability, and therefore reduction is not elimination of variability. Now keep in mind, while waste can be eliminated, variability cannot be eliminated. In real life systems, some degree of uncertainty would remain. Some variations in individual characteristics of the learners would be there. Some variations in the capability of teachers will be there. But our endeavor should be to make our teaching learning processes more consistent, our results more consistent. And we say consistency is antithetic to variability, and therefore try to reduce variability. And that's why the terms like Six Sigma, where we say the variability of the process is so low that only 3 to 4 imperfections or defects in a million opportunities. And therefore, which would mean that if your college is having 100% result year after year, and most of them are getting distinctions year after year, and nobody is failing, this indeed is a reduction of variability. And therefore, if we continuously keep on a time series, keep on measuring, are we improving your performance on reducing the variability? Variability is the variation of performance amongst the students. Smaller the variation, better the performance. And therefore, second part of the improvement is reduction in variability. And the third part is innovation. Innovation in your processes. Look into, be out of box thinker. Innovate your processes of delivering quality teaching learning process to deliver cheaper, better, faster, safer products and services. And therefore, how to make be innovative, how to deliver cheaper service. That means the value for money. You're able to deliver a great quality education at a lower fees, better, safer, faster products and services. Now, obviously, an important point here is, if you want to, particularly in the service system, if you really want to improve the quality of your system, education system, first and foremost, you need to improve the quality of your people, because it's only good quality people can deliver good quality service. And therefore, as a result, before we as a nation are able to, I see some disturbance. Can somebody mute? Therefore, we need to first improve the quality of people before we could improve the quality of the products and services. And therefore, and particularly in an education system being a service system, as you know, the difference between a manufacturing system and a service system is that in service system, the customer and service provider come in contact, direct contact, one-to-one contact, as I am doing in interacting with you, although in a virtual mode, and it's no replacement of a real interaction. Never mind. Therefore, in a manufacturing system, the customer who is using the product does not know who made it. But in a service system, the person who delivers service is in direct contact with the service recipient. Like teacher is a service provider in generic sense, and the students are service recipient. And therefore, because in service system, the service and it happens to be human beings in the case of education, teachers are human beings, students are human beings, and as a result, when the service provider and service recipient both happen to be people, and they come in direct contact with each other, one as a service giver and the other service recipient, therefore, it is the quality of people of both. I'm saying both. The quality of teachers and quality of students together that determines the end customer experience, the great quality experience. And therefore, today, our focus in improving the quality of education system should be to improve the quality of our faculty members through faculty development, and that's what AICTE is doing. And therefore, improve continuously the quality of teachers and service givers. At the same time, if you're able to get good quality student, a teacher's experience would be far superior. But in that case, I believe that even if the quality of student intake is not so good, an outstanding teacher can nurture them to the same level of excellence. If only thing you have to put in more effort, you have to be more committed and sincere about it. And therefore, as a result, the quality-minded people, the service-driven people who actually are educational system must be. And therefore, in the case of quality of education, shapes the quality of people. In fact, the ultimate purpose of education is to not create outstanding quality human beings. And therefore, the quality of education shapes the quality of people to make them good human beings, in addition to being knowledgeable and skilled. And therefore, when we look at the quality of your students, what constitutes the quality of students? It is the, in addition to being knowledgeable and skilled, are they good human being? And therefore, being good human being itself is an important, and for that, if you have to find out what constitutes the quality of, let's say, your polytechnic college, one simple measurable index of the quality of technical education system is the employability of their graduates or the diploma holders in your context. And therefore, what is the employability? And therefore, employability can be considered as a measure of quality of education in a given area of work. Now, employability, therefore, is a surrogate measure of quality. What's employability? Now, we must not mix up employability with employment. I see a hand being raised by some Monish. Are you asking a question? I can stop and respond to your question. Are you raising? I see a hand being raised by Monish. Any? Yeah. Hello. Okay. Are you able to listen to me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's somebody's raising a hand called Monish HM Mechanical, but then he's not asking any questions, so I ignore that raise of hand. Normally, raise of hand means that a person likes to. In online education, if somebody raises a hand, it means he wants to ask a question. And I already said in the beginning that we have to make this talk more interactive, so that I know the level at which I should be speaking. Now, therefore, I therefore ignore that hand. But my request would be only raise hand in case you want to ask a question. Otherwise, there's just no point. Now, therefore, a single measure of quality of a technical education system is the employability of your students. For example, as diploma students, what constitutes their employability? Now, many times we mix up the employability with employment. Now, employment is your placement, and most colleges really mix up by showing that this is our percentage employment. Employment may not be within the complete control of an educational institution, because it depends upon the needs and etc. But what we can give to our students, 100% employability. Employability is the ability or capability of a student to get and retain employment. This is the difference. If your people are employable, they will not only get employment, but they'll be able to retain it. And if they are not employable but got employment, they may not be able to retain it for long. And therefore, what an educational institution in such a quality education must look for, enhancing the employability of all the students. And here I'm talking the word all, because employment 100% may not be in your hand, but 100% employability of the students who have come and to study with you should be your obligation as an educational institution. And therefore, the moment I take employability as a measure of quality of technical education, let me now know how do I measure it? Because there is a simple concept in management: anything that you cannot measure, you cannot manage. So, if you really want to improve employability, you must be able to measure employability. And therefore, here I shared a model with you, employability E, which is a quality measure. The quality of technical education is the employability of graduates. So E is a function of A multiplied by alpha times K plus 1 minus alpha times S, where E is employability, K is knowledge, S is skill, and alpha is a relative weight that you give to knowledge over the skill, which depends upon the nature of the employment and the nature and the level of the institution. Now, this is very important for you to know. While this concept of model of employability is valid for everything, right from a research institution to an ITI, the value of alpha will depend. For example, if you're managing a polytechnic diploma level student or a ITI or a BTech or an MTech or a PhD, the value of alpha will tell you the focus. For example, I would imagine that for a polytechnic level student, can somebody unmute? Somebody's is not. I'm seeing noise. So can somebody unmute? Maybe the organizer can unmute the people who are not speaking. Can mute them. Can mute them. Now, therefore, let's look at this is where alpha will determine the focus of graduate education, polytechnic education, ITI education, and research education. For example, for an ITI, a vocational training, maybe alpha takes a value 0.3, 30% knowledge, 70% skill, actual practical on-hand training, learning by doing. Because at ITI level, maybe a very detailed deliberation is not required. Alpha can be 0.2 or 0.3, but for a polytechnic, maybe alpha can be 0.4, 40% weightage to knowledge, 60% to skill, or 50-50, 50% to knowledge, 50% to skill, which roughly translates into 50% on theoretical conceptual deliberations in a classroom setting, and 50% weightage to actually learning by doing in practical, on the job, internship, project work, etc., where you involve them in the process, and therefore the value of alpha will determine will be depend. For example, at a BTech level, maybe it's 60% knowledge, 40% skill. Maybe at a PhD level, at a research level, 80% knowledge, generating new knowledge, and because that research may not be immediately applicable, so 80 to 90 alpha may be 0.8 for PhD scholars, research scholars, for teachers, and 20% could be skill to see the practical orientation of doing. And therefore, this is a generic model, and therefore, in your own context, if you're a diploma institution, you yourself have to determine the relative importance or weightage of knowledge. Now, therefore, what is important here? You can see, and this is where I should be able to highlight that while knowledge and skill are the job that we normally do in a technical education system, knowledge in the classroom through lectures, tutorials, problem solving, skill is through practical, etc. But all this is multiplied by A. You can see A is attitude. A is an attitude which is a critical success factor, and many times we do not train our students on attitude. We do not focus on attitude building. But then you can see, being a critical success factor, having a positive attitude is extremely important in order to enhance the employability of graduates. Because imagine, and a very simple mathematical model, if the quantity inside the bracket is very large, but multiplier A is very small, or 0. Let's say 0 is okay, worst case. Anything multiplied by 0, if attitudes are negative, even the most knowledgeable and skilled person with negative attitude is not employable. And therefore, employability has a critical success factor in attitude building, which unfortunately our teaching learning processes do not have. And therefore, the employability of a person is greatly affected by attitude. As I said, even a highly knowledgeable and skilled person with a negative attitude cannot deliver great quality of service, because with a positive attitude, you can find solutions to every problem. And with a negative attitude, you'll find problem with every solution that you offer. And as a result, in our search for enhancing quality, we must really focus, in addition to knowledge and skill, we must focus in nurturing, cultivating positive attitude amongst our students. Because negative attitude, even quality education with negative attitude, does not bring customer delight. For example, if if you're a top student that's graduating from a college, the employer finds me extremely negative. He will always find fault with no solution. In fact, there's a very simple saying: if you are not part of the solution, you are a problem. Therefore, for every problem, there is a solution, provided you honestly seek that solution with a positive mind. And therefore, in order to deliver customer delight, which is the beginning that I mentioned about quality education, you need to really inculcate positive attitude amongst your students. And therefore, a strong correlation exists between quality of education in the country and the brand image of the quality of products and service. For example, and as a result, as Deming, one of the earliest quality gurus who did enormous job in Japan, he says, journey to quality begins with education and ends with education, which means that unless we improve the quality of education in the country, we cannot improve the quality of products and services, because before India can improve the quality of its products and services, it needs to improve the quality of its people in terms of developing an outstanding human resources with not only great knowledge and capability to apply that knowledge. Because the difference between skill and knowledge is the information and all that is taught in the classroom through books, and skill is the capacity to apply that knowledge to solve the problems of the society. The ultimate purpose of delivering that knowledge is to give you a skill so that you can use that knowledge to solve the problems of the society. And as a result, knowledge and skill multiplied by attitude, because in order to be a good engineer or a good manager, has to be a good human being first. If you're not a good human being and very knowledgeable and skilled, perhaps you may not be that useful to the employer. And therefore, focus on attitude building is extremely important. And unfortunately, our teaching learning processes do not get. And therefore, current status of quality education in the country is in general, the quality of education in almost all links of academic supply chain in India has been a cause of concern. In fact, I say that, and that's the purpose of this, the National Education Policy 2020, NEP 2020, is a very exhaustive and complete holistic document, which might turn to be a game changer to improve the quality of education across the entire academic supply chain seamlessly. And therefore, the quality of primary, secondary, and tertiary education has been a topic of debate for quite some time. And the enormous problems of education system plagued by shortage of financial resources, other resources, quality of people, quality of teachers, and quality of academic leadership. Unless we have a strong base of primary education, which feeds the secondary education, strong quality on secondary education, which feeds it higher education, quality must be seen as a seamless academic supply chain. And therefore, as a result, our gross employment ratio, the people from 10 plus to going to the university, has been now around 25, 27, 28. But the country has put before to itself a goal of 50% GER, and that's where virtual online education, etc. Right now, the percentage employability, our graduates in engineering and management, reflects a very dismal quality picture. For example, many times there are studies and debates about the low employability of Indian engineers and managers, and some NESCOM and other agencies have of course given. And therefore, as a result, in order to be globally competitive, to make India self-reliant technologically, or Atmanirbhar Bharat, it's extremely important that the entire technical education system gives highest attention to improving the quality of that education. Now, for that, the first and foremost attitude in delivering quality is to acquire a customer orientation. Unfortunately, in general, and I say in general, does not apply to an individual, specific institution, or a person. In general, our customer orientation is relatively low. And unless your customer orientation is very high, since the whole purpose of quality is to deliver conformance to customer or customer delight, and if you're not customer oriented, you cannot deliver quality. Now, here I quote one of the most famous quotation from Mahatma Gandhi, who looked at the customer. Now, keep in mind, customer in this case are your students and your employers. So the moment I talk customer in general, in your specific case, your diploma students who are studying with you and their employers who come to hire them, or the government which hires them, or the society which. So keep in mind the Mahatma Gandhi's views on customer, which says a customer is the most important visitor to our premises. He is not dependent on us, we are dependent on him. For example, if you do not get students in a branch, that branch doesn't exist. I mean, the student may study elsewhere, but unless they come to your college, that branch doesn't run. And therefore, it says a customer is the most important visitor to our premises. We are dependent on him. He's not dependent on us. He's not an interruption in our work. In fact, here I'd like to put it in the context of teaching learning process. Keep in mind, the student being the customer, he is not interruption in our work. Suppose the student goes to a teacher at the end of the class and the teacher feels that you are interfering, interrupting in my work. The very purpose of a teacher is for him, and therefore it says, he is not an interruption in our work. He is the purpose of it. So if a student comes to you for seeking some queries, asking for difficulties, you should welcome it as a teacher, because you exist because of the student. He's the very purpose of it. He is not interruption in work. Then he says he's not external to our business. He's part of it. And therefore, the customer, the employer, your students and employer are integral part of an extended family of a college. And therefore, when an employer comes to you, when the people from industry come to you, don't think that they are interruption in your work. You should welcome them because they are integral part of it as a customer. So he's not external to our business, he's part of it. And finally, Mahatma Gandhi says, we are not doing him a favor by serving him. So when we are teaching, we are not doing a favor by serving him. He's giving us, and he's doing so by giving us an opportunity to serve him. And therefore, if we in India, हेलो रविशंकर जी, मैं एक ऑनलाइन लेक्चर ले रहा हूँ, समय को अर्जेंट. Therefore, if we had looked at the customer from Gandhian lens, the Indian competitiveness in terms of quality of institutions, quality of education, quality of products, quality of services would have been outstanding, and we would have had taken a major share of the world's markets, both in terms of education and products. Therefore, it's time that we look at improving in our teachers and our students as potential employee, a customer orientation. And in order to give customer orientation, we need to have this customer value grid, because keep in mind, an attitude building is possible only when you look for, when you care for others. And for example, this is a value grid. Value grid, as you know, in management, the two-dimensional grid: concern for self, concern for others. Concern for self can be low to high, concern for others can be low to high. And therefore, if suppose our concern for self is very high, our concern for others is very low, we become highly self-centered people. Now, highly self-centered people are unlikely to look at customer delight, because I only care for me and not for others. The customer is someone else. And therefore, if you have no balanced concern for self and others, and therefore, as a result, one of the important component of teaching learning process in attitude building would be nurture, inculcate in our students a balanced concern for self and others. So you do not flourish at the cost of others. And therefore, there are very few people who will be sacrificing nature with a service attitude, low concern for self and high concern for others, or perhaps outstanding teachers, role model teachers would fit into that category, that despite their relatively lower working conditions or not attractive salary packages, they still are dedicated for nurturing the outstanding quality of students for the country. So that sacrificing nature, the low concern for self and high concern for others, that of course would be ideal, but not many can be in that. So at least my take here is, don't get into highly utmost concern for self and low concern for others, because others can be your customer, your colleague, your students, your employers, your teamwork, your departmental colleagues, and so on and so forth. As a result, first and foremost importance in improving attitude, which is a critical success factor, is a balanced concern for self and others. So therefore, do not flourish. Tell your students not to flourish at the cost of others. Tell your teachers not to flourish at the cost of other teachers. And therefore, before we really become customer driven, and if you're not customer driven, you can never be quality driven. The journey to quality begins with customer orientation, for which this value orientation is extremely important. Now, having said that, now let's look at in the context of technical education, what are the major quality issues? Particularly at the and I'm speaking at in general, maybe at the diploma level, this may not be very 100% valid, because somehow in the country, acquiring a degree becomes a fashion, and as a result, there are distorted imbalances between diploma and degree, which I'll be talking about. But then therefore, since privatization of technical education, as a result of the second education policy, where AICTE became a statutory body regulating the technical education system at diploma and degree level, the capacity of students seeking admissions in engineering colleges have increased exponentially. There's almost an exponential increase in the number of colleges and enrollments in technical education system, but the quality of education had taken a back seat. When you expand in an exponential manner, where the system cannot cope up with the demand for education of engineering graduates, and therefore, as a result, because of this a tremendous increase, the quality of education has gone down. And unless we improve the quality of education, because to me, technology is crucial for productivity and improving the quality of products and services, and with poor quality of technical education, we cannot become globally competitive. And therefore, it's almost an imperative for India to enhance its quality of technical education system at all levels, diploma, ITI, or degree or postgraduate research, at all levels, to become globally competitive. With a low quality of technical education, to become a globally competitive economy, because in order to become globally competitive, our local products, our local services have to be globally competitive. And what does that mean? It has to offer value for money. What does that mean? It offers high quality at a lower cost. So if we can improve the quality of education and reduce the fee, reduce the cost of education, that's what will make us globally competitive. And therefore, for making our local products globally competitive, we have to focus on enhancing the quality of technical education system. With poor quality of technical education, there is no way that India can become globally competitive. And in that context, there are relatively very few institutes in technical education where perceived quality of technical education in the country is high. And because of abnormal in a private education system, this unmindful expansion of technical education have trapped in various kinds of imbalances. And therefore, as a result, there are typical defects our technical education system has. For example, some of the typical defects: delays in evaluation and preparation of results, unbalanced structure of examination, almost all focus on theory, rote learning, and almost reproducing whatever is covered in the class. So not a balanced examination system by way of continuous examination, practical, on the spot learning training by doing. It's very important, particularly for diploma level institution, we have to have the more focus on evaluating their performance on the job. And the unbalanced structure, the way you conduct examination, behavior of teacher within and outside the classroom. The teacher is one of the critical success factor, as I will talk about later on. With a great teacher, even a relatively weak students can become outstanding. And therefore, the behavior of a teacher within the classroom and outside the classroom is so different that actually can be, inside a teacher may, particularly for value education, for attitude, any amount of sermonizing by a teacher in the classroom, of being positive and being concerned, being teamwork, punctual, integrity, honesty, all that you talk about. But if his or her own behavior outside the classroom or conduct in the society or in the college is not that positive, any amount of lecturing in the classroom will not do. And therefore, if the teacher is a critical success factor, because values are caught, not taught. So I can't teach values and attitudes from a textbook. The behavior and attitude of the teacher in the classroom itself is a great reflector of the, and therefore students will be as perceiving the teacher as a role model can make a difference. And therefore, the teacher's inability to understand student psychology and learning curve. For example, the entire class may not be of homogeneous nature. Some are slow learners, some are fast learners, some have language difficulties, and therefore a teacher's inability to understand the student psychology and the learning curve. The different people have different learning rates, and in order to nurture everyone, since I said 100% employability, we can't leave 10 to 20% people that they are slow learners, let them fail. No, once you've admitted them, it's our job. So if they are slow learners, we may have to spend more time on them. Maybe we give them fewer courses to clear. Maybe we need to do greater hand holding. And therefore, if teachers have a standard uniform speed of teaching everyone without understanding their learning psychology and their learning capacity, learning rates, sometimes we may not be, half the class may not be following what we are doing. Then inefficient administrative processes leading to mistakes in student admissions, registration, record keeping, collection of fees, generation result, inefficient laboratory management, and inadequate maintenance and buildings of infrastructure. These are some typical. And as a result, our quality program isn't working. Why? Lack of shared mental models of quality. What constitutes quality? There is no common shared perspective. Unless everyone understands quality the way I'm talking about, the students understand that quality, they have a role to play. Even if the teacher is extremely committed, but students are uninterested, the excellence will not come. And therefore, is the role of everyone. That's why total means involving everyone. And therefore, unless everyone have that shared mental model of what constitutes quality, quality will not be delivered. Lack of shared values and vision. If the institute's vision is not shared by the faculty, by the students, by the employees, simply a principal or a director or a vice chancellor having a vision cannot be delivered. You have to have a shared vision. And if unless we share the values and vision, the third compliance rather than commitment. This is in fact is a mindset. Compliance rather than commitment. There's a difference between compliance and commitment. For example, compliance means these are the minimum standards required by AICTE, and I just simply fulfill those minimum standards and think that the excellence has come. No, compliance is a bare minimum level, and if we simply feel great that I'm complying with what the AICTE requires, this compliance is not excellence. Compliance, if you simply comply, okay, so many square feet of space, so many square meter of classroom, so many benches, barrier-free bathrooms, etc., so many books in the library, all these are compliance. And simply complying with the AICTE's requirement as a regulator is not quality. And it's unfortunate that in many times I've been saying that the real critical success factor, the sincerity and commitment of the teachers in the college. What kind of teachers? How do you pay them? How do you handle them? How do you nurture them? And therefore, this compliance-driven quality is a bare Lakshman Rekha. It's the commitment and passion to quality that actually is a critical factor which you need. Unless your commitment, and therefore quality comes through commitment of everyone towards quality. If you simply compliance, what our NEC team is here, our NBA team is coming, next week, and we simply need to comply the ratio of the factor cadre ratio, the square root. All this compliance-driven quality is a bare minimum level of quality and is not excellence. Therefore, our too much focus on only complying. Commitment would be much more than compliance. If you have the student teacher ratio is, let's say, 20, you may like to make it 10, 15, because you require that intense hand holding, and therefore our focus on complying rather than commitment to quality. Steel reinforced concrete silos. For example, electrical engineering doesn't talk to what mechanical engineering is doing. Electronics doesn't talk to what computer science is doing. And therefore, watertight, non-communicative silos that we are building in as a department does not bring in the synergy that's possible in a college. And therefore, today, the purpose of engineering education is to solve problems of the society. And problems cannot come in a sequential mode. It's a mechanical problem, then solve civil problem, then solve electrical problem. Problems are problems, and therefore multidisciplinary holistic problem solving calls for a greater degree of synergy and multidisciplinarity and interaction amongst various departments. And this highly non-interactive insulated silos of the various departments, left hand doesn't know what right hand is doing, and therefore this indeed does not get you the outstanding quality. Non-systematic approach to implementation and senior administrators with incomplete transformational leadership skills. The purpose of top leadership of an institution is to provide transformational leadership as well as transactional. Many times we get bogged down only transactional, only process or the rules driven. Transformational means inspiring faculty, students, and all the stakeholders in getting outstanding performance from. In fact, it says a great leader or a great manager is one who is able to get outstanding performance from seemingly ordinary people. Because the seemingly ordinary people are those who have not recognized their hidden potential. The individual capabilities in people are so enormous that a great transformational leadership can really get best out of them. Right now, we are not able to inspire them to get most out of them. And as you would see in my, whether if I have had that, is a very powerful equation that I had developed. E is equal to MC, maybe if it doesn't come, let me at least say, E is equal to MC square is an equation which I use for nurturing when I became the founder director of IIT Roorkee, converting University of Roorkee into an IIT, a state university to a state-of-art university that IIT system is known. So I developed this equation E is equal to MC square. E is excellence, M is motivation, and C is commitment. So excellence, which is quality. Excellence is motivation into commitment square. Now, why I use that? Because if you do a job half-heartedly, your commitment is 0.5, half-hearted commitment. You're doing a job half-heartedly, your heart is not in the job. You are uninterested in performing that job. You don't like teaching, and your heart is not in teaching. Doing a teaching job half-heartedly, or doing any job half-heartedly, your commitment is 0.5, E is 1/4. But if you have the passion and zeal of outstanding, you're absolutely excited and enthusiastic and passionate and have a great zeal, enthusiasm in doing whatever you're doing, irrespective of what you're doing, C becomes 2, E becomes 4. And therefore, the corollary of this E is equal to MC square is that excellence and indifference do not coexist. If you're indifferent in your job, you cannot be excellent in what you're doing. And therefore, as a result, indifference and excellence cannot coexist. So this incomplete, transformation and ability to learn collective, working as a group, team, individual focus and learning should give way to teamwork, and lack of shared mental model. There in fact lack of shared vision that I've already is only. Let me quickly run through. Okay. Now, therefore, in the quality of technical education, this is a role for everyone. The role of students. Administrators need to involve students in their own education program to question the learning process. And once the students start questioning, the administrators need to seriously, so therefore permit a full debate. let the students' involvement in the learning, teaching, learning process with absolute, brainstorming sessions as to what is lacking in the college, what needs to improve, because in a way, every weakness is a potential improvement to improve. The moment you take weakness as an agenda for improvement, improvement will come in the big way. But if you don't even recognize a weakness, if a weakness is not even recognized or put under the carpet, we will never improve. And therefore, as a result, permit students as a major stakeholders, because students are your customers as well as your products. Role of teachers. The teacher's relationship is extremely important. A great teacher, in fact, since I almost spent my lifetime in education system, IIT system, I redefined the role of a teacher as IIT: involve, inspire, and transform. It is the inspiring role. A teacher should be able to inspire a relatively weak student to achieve outstanding performance. Involve means the teaching learning process is not simple one-way teaching, as I'm doing here. Is involving them through project work, through teamwork, and therefore learning by doing, and therefore involve, inspire, and transform. Even a relatively weak student can become outstanding. And this, the role of a teacher is much more than classroom. And therefore, the purpose of education is to enable students to think logically, analytically, critically, and laterally, and realize one's potential for self-development, and acquire a discriminately capability to appreciate in the emerging values in our times, and contributes to the development of the society and nation at large. And therefore, for the prerequisites for quality education in technical system is, you must have these: quality syllabus, quality faculty, quality teaching and evaluation, quality research. This may not be that the dominant component, although believe that even in see, research has various dimensions. Doing some useful socially relevant research outcomes for helping in the society around your neighborhood itself can be called application research. And therefore, quality infrastructure and quality character of the institution, the integrity with which the people look at this college is absolutely college of integrity, honesty, and very transparent functioning. Quality of faculty, quality of administrative, quality of student, and therefore quality syllabus. Regular updating and upgradation of the syllabus, because knowledge is changing almost every 2 years, it doubles. So teaching courses which are outdated absolutely have no relevance to employability. Therefore, regular updating and upgradation of the syllabus, balance of theoretical and experimental, or empirical and experimental thrust, credibility of the content, interdisciplinary orientation, and sensitivity to emerging scenarios, because whatever was being taught to diploma students maybe 10 years earlier may not be any longer relevant. And therefore, are you teaching something relevant today? And perhaps the upgradation of diploma content needs to be linked with the growth of the, for example, your graduates or diploma holders would be going to companies which are now tremendously a different scenario in technological, in terms of industry 4.0, where highly ICT driven, information and communication technology driven requirements. One expects your students even at diploma level to be IT savvy, information technology, so that concepts of robots, collaborative robots, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, simulation, cloud computing, all these 3D printing, additive manufacturing, all these concepts have become very relevant in last 10 years. And if I'm not able to incorporate these concepts in my teaching learning process, even at a diploma level, because after all, these students would be absorbed in a company having that degree of technological sophistication. And therefore, it's time that we also update our syllabus, which is sensitive to the emerging scenarios, and of course, relevance. Relevance is context specific. Whatever, not all the industry 4.0 may be 100% applicable to Indian context. India perhaps is not able to afford a state-of-the-art technology because we don't have our own, and importing it from the outside world would be very expensive. Therefore, those features of emerging ICT or those features of Industry 4.0 which are cost effective and relevant in Indian context, for example, low cost automation. Low cost automation, even in small and medium enterprises, SMEs, low cost automation can be a very powerful tool, and we should be teaching our students the focus is on low cost automation or robots doing those things which are hazardous in nature. The purpose of robots should not be to replace employment, but those jobs which are hazardous, where human being may have a greater risk of safety, perhaps we might, instead of people doing it, robots could be doing that job. So optimum allocation of the role between man and machine, between robot and human being without loss of employment. So these are some of the important features, and many times, particularly in the government-driven institutions, the updation of the syllabus or affiliated kind of colleges, unless the university upgrades the curriculum, you do not have, unless you are an autonomous college or you are a university yourself. Therefore, a regular updating and upgradation of syllabus is important, because syllabus or curriculum is an intent of what you want to do. These are almost like quality specifications, but then quality faculty. A syllabus is as good as delivered on ground. You might have an excellent syllabus, an outstanding syllabus, very relevant, very pertinent, but the teacher is not able to deliver that. So what is the use of a great syllabus if I'm not able to deliver that? And therefore you require outstanding quality faculty with academic and research eminence. In the case, of course, maybe at the diploma level, research eminence may not be that. Competence and reflective character of teachers. Therefore, the teachers themselves have to have a fair, positive attitude, compassion, teamwork, fairness in evaluating students, transparent in their functioning, very efficient in doing what they're doing, and therefore known to be role models. We require those kinds of role model teachers really in terms of delivery. Then quality teaching and evaluation. One of the important factors is teacher to student ratio. Now, this is one ratio where many times government institutions and even IITs, for example, IIT Delhi has 30% vacancies in faculty. In some of the recent IITs located in relatively far-flung areas, the faculty student teacher ratio is indeed very imbalanced. So unless we have right teacher student ratio, and in general the number of students per teacher, although the AICTE gives 20:1, 20 students, 1 teacher, but IITs have 10:1. But in Nalanda University, which is the world famous ancient, we look at, there were 2,000 students taught by 10,000 students taught by 2,000 teachers. The student to teacher ratio was 5:1. So 5 students per teacher. Now, therefore, as a result, our present scenario, the teacher to student ratio is fairly dismal in many private colleges. Modes of teaching, interactive and participative character, innovative teaching methods, innovative learning, regularity of conducting classes, use of student feedback. Now, many colleges, particularly government one, I don't know whether your polytechnic has that, an objective, anonymous, compulsory student feedback, where without knowing, and we know in our university, we'll be having for more than decades, compulsory anonymous student feedback, that every student at the end of the semester or in the middle of the semester is able to anonymously reflect on each course, and is computed the performance, and this performance of the student feedback is counted in the performance appraisals of the faculty. And therefore, if a teacher is not holding classes regularly, it gets reflected in the use of student feedback, effectivity in student-teacher relationship. Now, student-to-teacher relationship should indeed be an excellent one, lifelong one preferably, and therefore, one of the important compensation of a great teacher is the respect that he gets even from his former students, maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now. And this calls for a very positive student-teacher relationship, regular and continuous assessment, and fair, objective, and transparent evaluation. Now, it's extremely important to generate confidence in the examination system that every course is fair, objective, and transparent evaluation system. Quality research, this may not be that relevant to you, but then just run through evidence of peer recognition, publications, patents, transfer of know-how, generating new paradigm shift and awards and recognitions. And quality character, the value system, sensibilities, integrity, doing relevant engineering. Don't teach things which are not relevant. Doing relevant engineering. The education system as an instrument of change for improving the quality of life. Look at the education system not for grading, that you pass, that through this education system you are able to make impact on the quality of life of people. And quality infrastructure, classrooms, labs, computers. AICTE takes care of those things. In fact, many times AICTE only focuses on this part, whereas other parts are. So infrastructure is only necessary but not sufficient condition for quality. Our focus is primarily on infrastructure, and therefore there must be a warm, supportive learning environment in the college or the institution. Students should be encouraged to do only useful work, not irrelevant work. Students should be facilitated to do the best they can. Every student has a tremendous potential to improve. Students should be asked to evaluate their own work and improve it. Self-assessment can be very powerful provided that you are honest about it. And quality work should always feel good and should. So therefore, a quality work should give you satisfaction of having done well. And destructive nature. Now, for this, actually, I developed when I was a Vice Chancellor UPTU Academic Excellence Model. This is what I had developed for the purpose of evaluating the institution, the colleges. For example, in that college, I had this is for developing the quality of a college, and therefore, in this, for example, of course, I'm sorry to say that this I implemented it for 3 years while I was the Vice Chancellor. It has now been discontinued. It's no longer there. Okay, let me see. Yeah. For example, in this model, there are 10 factors, and the percentage out of 1,000 points. I don't know whether you know that out of 1,000 points, which all quality award models take care. And this indeed, to many extent, is in indirect. This was done in 2006. Many times our NAC and NBA programs are hovering around some of these parameters. This indeed what I'm looking at quality in its totality holistically. For example, out of 1,000 points, 10% made 100 points on top management's commitment to quality and academic leadership. Unless the top management of your institution, which means the chairman of the trust and the principal director of the institution, unless the chairman and the director are sincerely committed towards excellence, perhaps the quality would suffer. And therefore, top management's commitment to quality and academic leadership. Then faculty resource development. How do you nurture your faculty? How do you manage your faculty resource? Faculty is to be seen as a resource, as an asset. Many times, unfortunately, we treat faculty as a liability and building as assets. Logically, building is a liability. It depreciates, and faculty should be treated as an asset. And therefore, how do you treat your faculty resources? Then what quality policy and strategy you have in place? What are the academic resources? What are the academic processes? These are called enablers. Enablers are those quality parameters which you put in place for quality to be nurtured. And the results are those which are the outcome of those enablers. And therefore, as a result, we develop this model. Here, in this model, this is how it works out. For example, the structure of that, I implemented this for 3 years there. All the constituent colleges of UPTU, there were about 600 of them that time. So top management's commitment and leadership, 10%. Top management is the driving force of quality. And unless the top management is passionately driving quality journey, perhaps the best will not come out. And that's why it's a very first quality enabler. Then faculty resources development and management, quality policy and strategy, and academic resources and academic processes. The results are faculty and staff satisfaction, 100 points out of 1,000. So faculty and staff satisfaction, 100 points to student satisfaction, and 50 points of impact on society. Now, for example, in a classical conventional Malcolm Baldrige Award from where, in American system, they'd given 200 marks to students, customer satisfaction, and only 90 marks to employee satisfaction. In my model, which now have been recognized almost everywhere now, everybody is now, that I said a dissatisfied faculty is unlikely to keep uppermost in his or her mind the student's satisfaction. Therefore, if we really want student satisfaction to be delivered, we have to ensure faculty is also satisfied, his staff is satisfied. So a dissatisfied or disgruntled or unhappy or frustrated faculty and staff are unlikely to focus on students' delight. Therefore, in this model, equal weightage, so that you must, in order to see their students are happy and satisfied with what you're delivering, your faculty and staff are happy. And of course, impact on society is what are you doing in the neighborhood where you exist. For example, you exist, every college or polytechnic exists in some location. What are you doing to the neighborhood? Are you doing hand-holding? Are you helping weak students of that in those villages to come and study in your college or polytechnic at a lower cost? Are you doing something to enhance the quality of ambience there, or helping? So your impact on society, and then the academic results. Academic results are two dimensions. Your results, for example, in the university system, out of 600 colleges, what is the performance of your college? How many distinctions? How many first division? How many second division? How many gold medalists, etc., etc. Academic results and placement results, for example. And placement result is a composite of not only the percentage placement, but the quality of placement. For example, I was saying through a email that I received from the principal this morning, that the average package or salary of your diploma graduates is around 14,000 per month. Now, this indeed reflects the quality of placement. So even if you have 100% placement, but the quality of placement is 14,000 per month, your average salary, this indeed in this model would be moderated, because what is 14,000 is what your college is getting, your student. What is the market value? I mean, how these diploma holders, what is the market value of some of the best diploma institutions are getting how much? And therefore that was moderated, and based on that, this model was indeed developed. And the model developed was, for example, just to give an idea, on each of these 20 parameters, in fact, I use the Likert scale. For example, quality policy on student admissions. High is 5, low is 1, very good. So, for example, do you have any quality focus that you will only admit students who are in first division, or only distinction holders, or only this? So, do you have any quality policy on student intake? Quality policy on faculty recruitment processes. Is quality a focus in a faculty recruitment? Quality policy on faculty promotion recognition. What kind of faculty performance appraisal system do you have? How do you promote your people? How do you recognize excellence of your faculty? Are you student oriented? Are your student being your customer? Are you student oriented? That means customer orientation, the first prerequisite of quality, and therefore, are you student oriented? Are you teaching what should be taught rather than what you can teach? Many times, lots of things we are teaching because I want to teach. That's not student orientation. We need to teach what should be taught. Industry or employees orientation. Are we conscious of what the employer needs? Are we upgrading our curriculum to fulfill the needs of the employers? Is it employer orientation? Now, quality of physical ambience. Quality improvement policies for faculty staff. Are you sending your faculty for quality development? Are you upgrading the skill of your staff? Because faculty and staff are enablers, and unless their own quality is improved by frequently conducted faculty improvement programs, of staff improvement programs, that means you are not quality focused. And there are many colleges which do not have any policy of sending faculty and staff for training. This indeed does not reflect a grade. So you'll see, if you do not have that policy, then your quality orientation is low. Then vision, mission leading to quality. Do you have a vision and mission statement of the college which is quality focused, excellence focused? Core values leading to the quality. Do you practice those core values which are critical to quality?
Yes, sir.
And then quality management systems. For example, do you have ISO 9000, ISO, in the latest version, and the other, then you require, for example, faculty development, recruitment process leading. Do you take your recruitment process leading to excellence? Financial compensation packages are process. I mean, I have found in many of these standing high committees of AICTE that I chair at times. Many colleges, particularly colleges in South, in private sector, the compensation package they are paying to the faculty is very, very low. Even to the principal is very, very low. In fact, you can't expect an excellent quality education if you are not able to compensate our faculty and staff the right kind of faculty compensation packages, and therefore, what kind of financial compensation package and processes? The process of compensation. I've seen the process of compensation has to be transparent. The money directly going to their bank account, which can be audited by anyone, is not that you pay something else and say something else, and as a result, the process through which you financially compensate your faculty and your staff. The perks and performance incentives. Do you have, in order to attract the best and best brains for education, do you have perks and performance incentives? Somebody is an outstanding performer as a teacher. Do you have the best teacher awards in the college? Do you give them an extra increment or a privilege to go to conferences at the cost of the college? These are perks and performance incentives, which are important requirement for faculty development and management. Then people development process. Do you encourage people to improve their qualifications? If they are BTechs, are you asking them to MTech? If they're MTechs, are you asking them to do PhD? And maybe people are given the sabbatical to go to industry for experiential, gaining some experience in actual. So in the people development process, what kind of encouragement you give to people to improve their qualifications? The work culture. Now, work culture of an educational institution is extremely important to quality, because if the work culture is indifferent, unconcerned, highly suspicious, for example, many times a teacher may come and punch the card that he entered the college at the right time. Now, that alone does not reflect the work culture, because particularly a faculty member, the nature of the work is such that by simply punching the time on time and going in time, coming in time, does not reflect at all that the person concerned has been absolutely intimately in an inspired manner contributing to the enrichment of the teaching learning process. So, and that creating that work culture is a job of the top management to a greater extent. We create that culture where we trust faculty, we trust the staff, we trust the student, and bring in a desire in them to get most out of them. Faculty and staff performance appraisal process. How do you do the performance appraisal system? Is it objective or 360-degree performance appraisal system where almost self-appraisal, the faculty member concerned fills up his or her own, what have been done in last 1 year in a multi-dimensional contributions, then by the HOD, by the peer group, by the students' feedback, and therefore that, but the total performance appraisal being absolutely objective, transparent, and participative. Networking with reputed academic institutions, and for example, do we encourage faculty to visit a good college in the neighborhood, a good polytechnic in the neighborhood, or a good industry company in the neighborhood, or an IIT? That kind of encouragement for networking. If you do not encourage your people, faculty and staff, to visit colleges, to visit companies, to visit institutions of higher learning, and benchmark with some of the learning come through benchmarking, and therefore the networking with reputed academic institutions and encouragement and support. You give them travel support and encouragement, give them some special casual leave or sabbatical. That kind of work culture would definitely lead to better quality. Ambience in office of faculty and staff. In fact, many times we don't even give a separate office space to a faculty because he has to teach, interact with students, do research, outreach, consulting, meet people from industry. So he or she requires a separate, good quality office space. If they just, for example, if you herd them together in a common room, in fact, not much can be done. And therefore, that's something which we need is to be seen. Encouragement for industrial interaction and skill upgradation, conference sponsorship. For example, a lot of encouragement should be given to your faculty to visit industry. A lot of industrial tours for the students extensively, because when you visit them, and today the technological state of industries in India, particularly some of the foreign collaboration is much better. Therefore, you may not be able to have those technologies in your college, but if you encourage industry interaction, frequent industry visit, both for students and faculty, is bound to definitely improve their quality. And skill upgradation, conference sponsorship, and peer interaction encourage people to improve their skill and attend conferences. Academic results, of course, that concept will take me time to explain. Gross intellectual attainment per student. How much is your student academic performance? And placement results, percentage campus placement moderated by a factor given by average salary level divided the average industry level. So this was done, and therefore this UPT, it was called UPTU Academic Excellence Award Model. For 3 years, it brought in a great sense of competition amongst colleges to focus on quality, and the visible movement on quality focus was seen. And there were different incentives that were given as star performance, etc., etc. But then, unfortunately, it now no longer is existent. Now comes to a question of transforming academic institutions into learning organizations. Now, focus has to shift from teaching to learning. This indeed calls for a major focus, because normally teaching is an activity, learning is an outcome. And therefore, if you really want to enhance the quality of technical education system, your focus must shift from teaching into learning. And therefore, develop a culture of shared vision. So many times we use the vision mission as a cosmetics by hanging those vision mission statements on your notice boards in your classrooms, your offices. They're not fashionable. Vision has a purpose. Mission has a purpose, because vision tells you what kind of institution you want to see next year, 10 years from now. So, and often explain your future dream of that institution through a vision statement. But a vision is as good as shared by people. Simply having a vision statement in a very grandiose term and nobody even knows them and shares it is just a useless paper exercise. And they develop a culture of shared vision that involve people, students, collectively discuss what kind of institution you want to be 10 years from now. And only with a shared vision among students, teachers, and staff, jointly will get you the journey of total quality. Keep in mind my initial statement. Total means involving everyone. So a shared vision through extensive interaction amongst students, faculty, and staff. Do not overemphasize competition. Now, we sometimes overemphasize competition, which actually creates high degree of individualism. Promote cooperation, collaboration amongst faculty and staff to join together through collaborative. So the new term being coined is collaborative competition. You can be competitive in a collaborative mode, which gives you teamwork together, and both win. It's a win-win proposition. So do not overemphasize competition, because overemphasizing competition may actually create negative side effects. And sometimes too much of stress in the competitive examination for entrance test, particularly in the IIT system, we have a very, very highly difficult entrance test to be prepared for. Almost people for years, parents, students, they do so much that the tremendous competition, people might succeed in getting in, but by the time they enter the system, they might be already fatigued. So overemphasis on competition sometimes can create negative side effect in value system distortion. Generate a positive promotion of cooperation and collaboration, because through collaboration, one can get more. In fact, TEAM is an acronym. It means together everyone achieves more. So the moment you emphasize teamwork, collaboration between departments, collaboration between students and faculty, collaboration between institution and the industry, the moment you emphasize collaboration of various kinds, promote collaborative competition, you will find that everybody gains. And therefore, too much focus on competition sometimes is counterproductive. And therefore, collaborative competition, you might even collaborate with your competitor. And that's what the new education policy talks about now, where, for example, through some courses, to credit course, I'm not too sure whether this applies to you. Somebody, a student enrolled in your college, can take some courses from somewhere else, and they can be transferred to your college for earning him a degree. And therefore, that kind of situation, have a culture of proactiveness, not react. Now, proactive is, there are two types of responses. Proactive is you anticipate a problem and prevent that problem by happening. It's called proactive approach to leading. Therefore, we develop in our students, faculty, and the entire people to be proactive, anticipate a problem, and before that happens, prevent it from happening. Because a prevention is better than cure. Our mindset generally is reactive unless a crisis has happened. Unless there is a crisis, there is an accident, unless a person has failed, parents don't wake up. And therefore, as a result, let's not be reactive. Let's be proactive. By being proactive, you can prevent failures. You can enhance the customer experience in a big way. Faculty, students, and administration think all of they all think through all the educational processes, activities, functions with the environment as a part of it. And therefore, the external environment in which you are working, for example, I believe you are located in Tamil Nadu, the kind of external environment of doing business there, kind of a technological environment, economic environment, social environment, the competitive environment, legal environment, all this, because a college or a polytechnic cannot be at loggerheads with the external environment in which they are located. So you have to be in tune with the state in which you are located, the city in which you are located, and therefore developing a positive interaction with the environment, because you cannot be at cross purposes with the external environment, with the government, your stakeholder. Maybe the government, if you're a government funded institution, the government funding agencies, which are important stakeholders, you cannot be at cross with them and expect them to be very supportive, and therefore create that kind of feeling of a very positive interaction. Because one simple rule is, as a business or as a system, you have to be in tune with the external environment in which you're doing business. Because once you have positive relationship with the external environment, everything would be nurtured and doing well. If you have a negative relationship with the external environment, all the time fights between the stakeholders, between parents and college, between teachers and students, between teachers and the principal, between the college and the government, it will not work. Therefore, develop that positive relationship. And therefore, what is that essence of that learning organization? What constitutes a learning organization? The new skills and capabilities. Knowledge is continuously evolving. So what we need to, in fact, one single quality that you need to nurture in students is the learning to learn. Learning to learn means a lifelong learning desire. If you inculcate lifelong learning desire, maybe learning, unlearning, relearning. Many things you have learned in the polytechnic have to be unlearned. They're no longer relevant. You don't require them. Unlearn, relearn, and therefore learning to learn should be the extremely important capability of learning organization. And this applies not only to students, applies to faculty. The faculty has to unlearn many irrelevant things that they might have studied in lifetime. Develop new skills, and this is particularly true in a technologically digitalized world. In a digitalized economy that we now have, our entire education system has to be digitalized. And therefore, new sets of skills and capabilities would have to be coming. And I was seeing through the email of the principal, this is one of the threats is that our diploma students are not able to get easily absorbed in IT like companies, because you need to generate in them the knowledge and skills of the new emerging paradigms in ICT. Because in today, if you are not tech savvy, if you are not ICT driven, if you are not IT enabled education, perhaps you'll be out of relevance to the society. And therefore, in the process of nurturing essence of learning organization continuously. We need to develop new skills and capabilities, new awareness and sensibilities, and new attitudes and belief. And therefore, a learning organization has a continuous capacity to adapt and change. And engineering institutes must develop this capacity. And unless you do it, and unfortunately, it's not happening. And unless you do it, now, how to implement quality involvement? As I said, that quality involves everyone. It is not simply the concern of AICTE or MHRD or college or administration or a principal. It involves everyone, including students, teacher, alumni. Alumni, many times we ignore. Alumni are your former students who studied with you. They can be an enormous positive strength. And the college must have almost a lifelong relationship with the alumni. In fact, much of the IIT's major world recognition primarily is driven by the alumni. They're liberally contributed to there are limits to which a government can support you financially. But some of your very successful, outstanding alumni indeed can be very, very major resource base for you. They can give you laboratories, new equipment. They can donate a machine, a computer, facilities, library. They can donate even philanthropically money, which enables you to do something which you may not be able to do because of the government. So IITs are, in fact, there are alumni in IITs are giving hundreds of crores of rupees individual, that they're instituting chairs, they're instituting schools and centers of advanced research. Many times we do not relate well with the alumni. Only IITs are IIMs may be doing it, but every college can do it. Every college, every diploma institution, you have your own alumni base. Have you ever tried to relate with them? Do you have an office in your college which identifies your alumni, relates to them, shares information with them? Because that kind of emotional bonding is required with the alumni, and they can become an outstanding. And of course, your final supporters, your companies, your industries. Many times, 2% of the CSR, corporate social responsibility fund, which every profit-making company has to spend on CSR. Education is such. So if you have a very good relationship with the industry, a lot of money can come through philanthropic means too, and therefore the government which supports you, financial supporters. So quality involves everyone. Thinking that only principle is relevant is concerned with quality, not done. And unless all of them together. Second is continuous improvement. Keep on improving systems every time. Improve, digitalize. If you're doing something manually, digitalize it. Measure what you are doing, what you're taking 3 days, now can be done in 3 minutes. The results you're preparing in 3 weeks can be done in 1 week. So continuously improve of better ways of doing. And stakeholders they play. Parents many times are not involved at all in education. Parents are extremely important stakeholder apart from employers, and therefore this is where we need to. Now, having said that, and then I'll open it for discussion. The current state of total quality management, a lot of people have written about it, but very little has been absorbed. Even here, I'm seeing that when you started in my lecture, there were about 73 participants, and I see now 33. That shows the kind of interest of people even to knowing about quality. That's the degree of indifference. And as I mentioned, indifference and excellence don't coexist. If you are indifferent, laid back, unconcerned, neutral, if you're not passionate about things, not much will happen. And therefore, as a result, although so much has been lectured and talked about, has been written about on total quality management, very little of it has been absorbed or believed and implemented in colleges and businesses. Very little. The total quality management concepts in colleges have been very, very little has been absorbed and written about it. Therefore, unless you really do it, simply talking about quality management will not do. A lot of people have talked about, a lot of people have written about it, but very few people have really absorbed the concepts. And unless everybody, and not only principal or everyone, unless everyone believes in it, that quality can be improved, And there are no softer options. I must say that, for example, if you know, our honorable Prime Minister have been saying that India as a demographic dividend means that 55% of Indians are less than 25 years of age. And if we can make these people globally employable, I'm saying globally employable, with knowledge, skill, and attitude, then the whole world will come towards India in search of talent. Because the developed world is aging in their demographic profile. The developed world is getting very old, and the quality of life is now technology driven. From where would they get people? They'll rush towards India. They'll say Indian technical education system is producing students who are globally employable. And if you are globally employable, you'll find Indians leading the the rest of the world. It's already happening in some of the top top companies in US are being headed by Indians. But this can be across the globe, and therefore, as a result, unless you make your people globally employable, that demographic dividend, and that's why I call it demographic dividend potential. It's only potential, needs to be realized. But if you do not do so, then the same demographic dividend can become a demographic disaster. If people are unemployable, if their graduates are graduating with no employment in them, the same very people would develop a huge discontent in this about the education system and can create problems. Therefore, we must be conscious about these things. As a result, unfortunately, not much has been done to practically implement the quality management systems in Indian education system in general and technical education system in particular. And therefore, that's something that is done. Another very important gaps. In fact, I had been to, I think somewhere around 95. I was leading a technical mission to Japan, sponsored by National Asian Productivity Organization, and I had an opportunity to look at the technical education system in Japan, and it was such a tremendous departure from what we do in India and what the Japanese do. They had a totally integrated system of technical education. That means let's say what we call ITI and polytechnics interacting extensively. Polytechnics and colleges interacting extensively. Colleges and universities intended extensively, universities and industries, and therefore that completely vertically integrated technological education system, where it is totally integrated, and pathways of moving up. For example, an ITI can do diploma, diploma can go degree, degree can do MTech, degree, MTech can do PhD, and therefore the totally integrated technical education system. In our case, the degree of integration is almost missing. In general, I'm not saying specific to your college. Polytechnics do not talk to ITIs. Colleges do not talk to polytechnics. IITs do not talk to colleges. And therefore, as a result, everybody is practicing in their isolated islands of what they call excellence, and therefore totally insulated technical education system. Whereas an education system has to be totally integrated, and that's why the imbalance is that that we had almost so much degree colleges. The diploma colleges were relatively fewer. It's only now, when there are no demand for degree education, that people are not talking about opening diploma, then ITIs. And therefore, a truly balanced technical education system would have a strong focus on balance, where a very large number of ITIs, very large number of mid supervisors for polytechnics, and then relatively fewer degree colleges compared to what we have, relatively fewer research institutions. That kind of pyramid. Now it's a totally inverted pyramid, that we have everyone is BTechs and there are fewer polytechnics and fewer ITIs, and therefore it's totally distorted because our technical education system is not vertically integrated. Therefore, we really need to revisit this total, and unless we do this, we may talk about total quality, but we may not really be able to sort of deliver quality. And unless you deliver quality in real terms, simply talking about quality would not do. That's something that we need to address. And therefore, it seems to me that the interest in quality or TQM will not fade away. People will continue to talk about it. But talking about quality does not mean delivering quality. It needs to create that environment, and therefore, as a result, uh, uh, there have been efforts made by, and I see particularly the new education policy. I don't know whether you are aware of that. There's a tremendous hope of the NEP 2020 in creating all those distortions have been removed. It's a modular, flexible. You can take up, for example, if you don't like mechanical engineering, you can come out with a certificate program. After 2 weeks, a diploma. So difference between diploma degree is now gradually vanishing. So a person from diploma can move into degree. A person from who enrolled in degree can exit with a diploma, with exit with a certificate, and therefore that frequent entering and exit programs which the new education policy is permitted is likely to enhance quality and flex. It gives you enormous flexibility of choice. You take admission in some course, you didn't like that course, you can switch over to something else. And therefore that degree of flexibility and modularity and collaboration. For example, some courses your polytechnic can teach to even other polytechnics. But if some other polytechnic has strong faculty base in some other subject and you don't have that, you permit them to deliver courses and transfer those courses. Your students can take those courses online, offline, 40, 60, 40% courses can be done online. And in that, you can perhaps get the best available faculty across the globe to talk to your students through online mode. That new education policy permits that. So the entire NEP 2020 document is quality driven. And the AICTE has developed a detailed implementation policy, how each of the dimensions of AICTE's policy would be in fact implemented. I suggest that one can go through it. And therefore, it focuses on faculty. It says the new education policy is faculty driven, but student centric. In fact, the essence of what I'm saying is contained. The faculty which have to lead the quality movement, but student centric, not faculty centric, and therefore faculty driven, but student centric. And those kinds of academic bank of credits where you can do some credits here, some credits there. So very collaborative, multidisciplinary. All those things are very important, integrated. For example, where ITI, in fact, when I had returned from Japan in 95, I developed a concept paper which had given that our technical education system should be so integrated that should be from ITI to IIT. From ITI to IIT, flexibility is an ITI person should be able to do diploma. A diploma person should be able to do BTech. BTech should be able to do MTech. MTech should be able to do PhD in IIT system. And therefore, it's not that an ITI remains IIT all through, or a diploma graduate student remains a diploma holder all through. Because so there has to be an upgradation, and the educational system must create that kind of incentive in the system, so that from ITI to IIT, a totally integrated system. And therefore, one would imagine that we have to, if we really want to remain competitive, we need to show interest in our education system in quality. Otherwise, we perhaps now what with this I'll do. I'll stop sharing my my PowerPoints and open the debate or discussion that you may like to have, and maybe that you can. I'm not able to see anyone other than myself here. Now, this is the beauty of online education, that I'm speaking to a laptop without even knowing or even seeing anyone who is listening to me. Anyway, that's it. And of course, fortunately, I get the numbers now. I have 26 participants remaining in the system. So I'll perhaps stop here and leave it for a discussion amongst the people who maybe still be logged in. And over to you, Dr.
Sir, we are actively listening only, sir.
No, I'm saying 20, you're listening, but I'm not saying you're not listening, but there are 26 people listening. But then I'm saying now ask questions now. Please interact with me now.
Sure, sir.
You can ask me anything, anything, even beyond what I've covered. Let there be interaction, and if some of you can, in fact, can show up your face so that I know that somebody's, I'm talking to somebody.
What a face.
All right, never mind.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Ask me. Please feel free to, because now, from now onwards is your session.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you
your
very much
interaction.
for your informative session, sir. I have one doubt actually.
Please, yeah.
Our students actually, they are not able to get into IIT in the lateral entry scheme, sir, actually. Why this lateral entry scheme is not there in IIT, sir, actually?
No, in fact, the IIT system itself has to be, the IIT system is based on purely on the basis of joint entrance examination. And they are not able to get into, but then perhaps the route, in fact, I remember there's one possible route through which, as I mentioned, from ITI to IIT, literally there was a student in IIT Delhi who from ITI level became a PhD student from IIT Delhi. One Dr. Chaman Singh. I'll tell you how. From ITI, he did diploma. After diploma, he did what is known as AMIE. Now, AMIE, for the purpose of employment, AMIE is a associate member of Institute of Engineers India. And that AMI is considered to be equivalent to BTech for employment and admissions. Now, some institutions directly treat it as equivalent to BTech. IIT Delhi doesn't treat it as equivalent to BTech. So what they do, they ask him to do 24 undergraduate credits, and then they become at par with BTech, and then they get into MTech of IIT Delhi. So in BTech, they may not be able to enter directly because right now admission to IIT is only based on JEE and there is no other basis. But I have seen people entering after ITI or diploma through AMI route to do MTech in IIT system and then PhD from IIT system. So the route is, the entry is not at a lower level, but entry to IITs is at a higher level at a master's and doctoral program. This has been, but right now, unless IITs revises their admission policy and to permit diploma students to enter laterally. Now, for example, in college, it's happening now. Since the number of admission seekers in colleges have gone down tremendously. There are many colleges which are degree colleges which have been closed down because there were so many of them opened and we didn't really require so many of them. So now many colleges, to fill up their student strength in engineering, are admitting diploma students in the second year directly at lateral entry. In fact, many of them are able to sustain only on that lateral entry because their entry in the first year is not much. But unfortunately, IITs have not started this lateral entry. And the reason for that is simple. Even colleges earlier were not doing it. Affiliated colleges which were getting rich number of students, large number of students for admission in BTech, were not adopting the lateral entry of diploma holders in a big way. Only under pressure of admissions now, when you are not getting enough number of students in first year engineering, in order to make up for the shortfall, you open up in the second year through lateral entry. So even engineering colleges were compelled to do it. Unfortunately, IITs have not yet faced the problem of shortage of admission seekers. They get lakhs of aspirants and only 2 to 3% of them get admission because they have not felt the dearth. But then this is what I mentioned, that there has to be a concern for others. For example, why should, although there is no dearth of students in IIT system getting admission, but to encourage people, even from great quality student from diploma, should be able to get lateral entry in IIT system in the second year. And that route perhaps would have to be created. I am all for it. Even colleges didn't do it till recently. One day, if IITs also have shortfall in their admissions in first year, but then there's no way of doing it. If you do it as a policy, may restrict it to some outstanding people from diploma, should be able to directly get into second year of engineering. So as an individual, I am for it. but then since they have not felt the dearth of admission seekers in first year, they have not yet opened, but the only route available is via MTech. So with diploma holder, even an ITI, I've already indicated ITI to diploma to AMI to be MTech and PhD, and that's happening. I've seen one case I know from in my own personal knowledge, where from ITI a person got a PhD from IT Delhi. It's a long circuitous route. Okay. All right.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving us a nice answer for the solution to this problem.
Yeah.
Sir, we are
Sir,
going to pose
as-
the next question.
Pardon? Hello? I couldn't get. Rajaram wanted to ask some question. I now see.
Sir, actually, our students wants to take this great opportunity to interact with you. One
Yeah,
of our
they're
one of our
welcome.
students wants to pose a question, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, anyone. I'm absolutely anyone. Just feel free. Absolutely anyone.
This section is more informative for me, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Kalaivani. I am studying Diploma Triple in Rajagopal Polytechnic College, sir.
Okay,
Have
good.
one doubt, sir.
Please.
Additional skills required other than academic for a diploma holder, sir?
Yeah, the additional skill. As I said that for a diploma holder, the level of employment would be perhaps more on hands-on doing or supervision. So the skills required for diploma holder as compared to a graduate engineer would be a greater focus in problem solving, in doing the on-the-job doing, and therefore the knowledge component may be relatively less intense compared to a degree. There may be less intense course on degree, but a degree student has to have higher mathematics and a lot of skills in analytical modeling and differential equation solving, etc., etc. At a diploma level, maybe relatively less focus on knowledge component, but greater focus on actually doing things, practical orientation, problem solving, and that. But the attitude remains a compulsory for everyone. Even a diploma holder must have a positive attitude, because knowledge and skill multiplied by positive attitude. Unless you develop a positive attitude, employment may be a difficult thing. And even if you get employment, retaining it may be a problem, because today the nature of work has changed. You see, gradually the government employment is coming down. The employment in private sector is increasing. Long-term employment is coming down, and gradually now the focus is on short-term project-based employment. People are hired for a short-term project work, and therefore, unless you have competence to deliver a good job, a good value addition to the employer, one may not find it easy to retain and sustain an employment, and therefore, knowledge, skill, and attitude together. So keep on sharpening your employability skills. Keep yourself updating your knowledge, because knowledge is changing every 2 years, and therefore try to incorporate digitalization and ICT enabled education, because today a lot of sensor functioning is a knowledge driven organizations in which we are working. No company particularly at a higher level is working without digitalization. So develop skills on digitalization, so that you should be able to at least use a software to find a solution to the problem, if not develop a software. And therefore, as a result, more focus on hands-on learning, learning by doing, and with some knowledge, of course, what's happening, and become a positive person. Because in order to be a good engineer, you must be a good human being. So try to be a good human being, and then I'm sure the whole world would look towards you. Absolutely.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next question.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I am Dulshat, sir. I am studying in Rajagopal Polytechnic College, Diploma Triple, sir. Now I am asking a question to you, sir.
Please.
Whether it is really useful for me to continue higher studies after 2 years in industry, or Immediately after
Immediately. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good
after
question.
diploma.
Yeah, I got your point. You see, the answer for that is it depends upon your situation.
Okay,
But
sir.
what is desirable is this: unless you have some pressing reasons, otherwise, it's good to get some experience in industry, because whatever you have learned in the polytechnic, if you join a company or an industry, you'll be able to acquire apart from the application of this knowledge to real life situations, you might even be able to understand many times by seeing working in industry, many things which were not taught to you in the classroom would be learned while you're working in the company, and you have a better understanding of the work environment of the industrial situation. And after 2 to 3 years of working there, if you then come for higher studies, perhaps you'll be able to appreciate that additional learning far more effectively as compared to if you directly go to higher studies. But it then, I said, it depends upon an individual situation. There are no answers specific to everyone, but in general, if there are no other pressing considerations and there are no age limits for admissions in degree, which you are actually, you know that if you wait for 2-3 years, your age will be, you'll be age barred. There are no other compulsions. Desirable scenario is to get some experience and then get into higher education. This indeed might be better. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your
Thank you.
speech.
Yeah.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yeah, please.
Sir, I am Priyadarshini, sir.
Yeah, I can see.
Working in Rajagopal Polytechnic, sir. I
Yes.
have doubt, sir. Is there any institution in India implemented ISO 2100 standard for education, sir?
ISO actually is very almost many institutions have implemented ISO, and therefore, but I must say, in fact, you see, many institutions, ISO used to be a very popular destination of many colleges, but is no longer so. The reason for that is ISO itself has been changing. See, ISO was a certificate-driven mindset, and perhaps more than ISO now are the focus on accreditations, like, for example, NBA, NEC accreditation, and other international ABATIS and international. And therefore, while ISO is relatively easy to get, because what ISO does, it focuses on quality management systems, almost on issues that I talked about today. The academic excellence award model I talked about is almost the structure of. So ISO simply says that you simplify, you improve the system, standardize the processes, document the processes, and do what you have documented. And therefore, in the early part when ISO experiment had begun, a lot of enthusiasm of colleges and institutions, even companies, even small businesses going for ISO. And ISO itself has been changing its gear, as you had 2015 version, now 2021. 2021 may really not, because in last 2 years, we are going through a COVID cycle where almost everything has become virtual. But then the interest in ISO in general is going down, because a certificate-driven mindset sometimes can lead you to a wrong direction. To me, as I mentioned, the journey to quality is a never-ending one. So therefore, certificate or no certificate, if you're on the path of excellence, certificate would come. But
Actually,
many times our Indian mindset is that once I acquire a certificate, for example, you may get an NBA or you may get a NEC, you think that the certificate should not become a purpose of your being. Many times the institutions only strive hard to only get certificate or accreditation of NEC, NBA, and after NBA say, okay, for next 5 years we are at peace. Journey to a quality can never be that certificate-driven mindset. Many times, certificate-driven mindset can sometimes erode the quality, and that's what happened in ISO. You might say, ISO in fact is very interesting. Many companies which got ISO earlier in an American context after getting ISO, the performance went down, because a certificate is no guarantee for sustained quality excellence. Therefore, to me, my general, whatever I've talked today, is continuous focus on quality, with absolutely no deviations of your passion and zeal. And if that happens, all certificates will come to you. I can tell you, getting an ISO is the easiest thing out of various many, because there are many private, certifying agencies which are able to get you the certification. And ISO certification has far more many players in the field compared to the NAC and NBA. In India, NAC and NBA are only two agencies right now, although AICTE is perhaps focusing on accreditation. So AICTE is focusing more on accreditations, much more than ISO certification. But then, if one wants to have ISO certification, there is no harm. But thinking that you are ISO certified is absolutely no guarantee of excellence. Okay.
Actually, I'm repeating the same question. Actually, Priyadashini's question was, there are different standards of ISO, like 9,000 for quality system, 14,000 for environment, 50,000 for energy management. Like that, the new standards for education is 21,000.
Yeah, I'm saying, that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
right
sir.
now in India,
Yes,
in India, not many have gone in for that, because the focus on ISO itself has gone down. I mean, I was addressing that question. The ISO focus in general in India has gone down. In my own institution, the university, when I joined in, we were ISO. We discontinued ISO because now the focus is more on NAC and NBA and NIRF ranking, now the national ranking, because ISO does not give you that kind of thing. So ISO 21,000, because ISO system, for example, for automotive industries, you have separate, even ISO, but ISO in general is losing its shine. That's the question that I was making. And to my knowledge, I'm not aware of any educational system which is in India, which have focused on ISO 21,000 for education, because to me, the ISO 21,000 system essentially is what our NAC and NBA are doing. You call it so, but to me, I'm not aware, because in general, the ISO has lost its shine compared to what it used to be. There was a time in the late 90s, almost everybody was almost crazy about getting ISO. But that kind of craze, I am not aware, because now the craze is for NIRF, NAC and NBA. And because these are national level accreditations, and ISO is not a national, ISO is only the only advantage of ISO is that you can be internationally recognized as a quality system. But many of us have to first gain quality at a national level before we become internationally eligible. And in case of international recognition, my own perception is, the reason for that is I have done a research in linking, and of course not in educational system, but I looked at companies which had ISO certificate and what was their performance after getting ISO certification. And as a result of that, there's absolutely very little correlation of the performance and the certificate. Many times the performance went down because after getting a certificate, you relax your focus. You say, okay, now we have a certificate and we'll display it. So therefore, the point I'm making here, our quality mindset is never certificate driven, should not be certificate driven. You can be an excellent institution without being an ISO. And in any case, employers, parents are not so much impressed with these. They're more impressed by the quality of education, which leads to employment and the percentage placement and the word of mouth. You have the students who have studied in your polytechnic, what kind of experience they narrate with their neighbors. You say, that's it, Rajagopal Polytechnic is a great institution, a great. So those word of mouth publicity, the experience of students, the impression of your alumni, and the satisfaction of faculty, and the kind of a positive image your college has in society, has a far more pronounced impact on on your image and quality as compared to the certificates. But as I mentioned, I'm aware. In fact, I think your college principal had also written to me that in April you are going in for some NBA accreditation. So we are fairly, as I said, obsessed with, and to so much so that in my own university, for last 1.5 years, lot of debate and discussions are taking on NEC and collecting data and no even. Now, what I'm saying, focus on quality, certificates would come, accreditation would come, because quality focus means your documentation, a quality documentation, quality teaching, quality learning, quality. So every process is thorough. You don't have to go an extra mile to create, documentation for certification. And to me, therefore, robust, authentic quality journey is far more, because there are 4 types of quality culture. Authentic quality culture is you focus quality in everything that I've talked about, and you will get all kinds of certification. You have to just decide to go for it. But if you're only going for certification without having an authentic quality culture in the organization, it may not get you far enough. And therefore, in general, my focus is on authentic quality culture and not certificate driven In fact, I've seen, I call it brittle quality culture, where a lot of certificates are hanging on the wall, your quality policy, your quality circles, your ISO certification. But when you are under pressure, you compromise with quality and okay, go in for quantity. I call it a brittle quality. So develop authentic quality culture, go in for every certification that you want. But till then, getting a certification cannot be replacement of genuine, true, authentic quality culture. My focus has been all through in inculcating, and this way, by mindset, I am not very strongly in favor of acquiring certificates.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So your advice is start the quality.
Develop authentic quality culture.
Yes,
Develop
sir, yes.
authentic quality. Delight your students. Delight your employers. After all, certificates would come as an outcome automatically. You don't have to make it travel an extra mile for that, because you would have a strong documentation yourself, not only for certification, but as a part of the quality culture of the company organization.
Thank you.
So
Thank
your documentation will be authentic. So an extra effort will not have to be required. Just give what you have. And since you have an authentic quality culture, you would automatically get all the certificate you're looking for.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you. So by doing the real quality journey, certification.
Absolutely. And only that alone would matter, I can tell you. Even a degree from IIT is not a guarantee for employment. Unless you add value to the employer by way of authentic. So to me, the focus should be, and that's why I said employability, the capacity or capability of students to attract and retain employment. That is the quality. And therefore, to me, certificates were not in the picture. Are you able to get you that degree of employability? And my entire focus was on that. And I can almost feel very confident, if that happens, rest would happen.
Thank you very much, sir.
Just to give your, for the, none of the IITs have gone for ISO certification. Okay. If it was such a, in fact, there was IIT Madras long back had gone, and paper, I prevented IIT Delhi to go in for it. In my current university, they were having ISO earlier. I got it discontinued because there is no correlation. I couldn't see much, but focus should be on authentic quality culture. And therefore, in Japan, the ISO, for example, Japanese are known for their quality. Japanese don't go for ISO certification. So therefore, it's a different individual's preference. But to me, no certificate can replace true authentic quality culture. My focus was on authentic quality culture. Okay. Anything else? And for that, for example, what I didn't want to be personal. Unless you're authentic, your faculty. Today, I'm actually, speaking because from my in-laws' house, because I was chairing a meeting of board of governors in IT Mandi. My brother-in-law died, my wife's brother. So after the meeting, we came to my in-laws' place. Since I committed to you to deliver a lecture on 23rd, I'm fulfilling my promise from my brother-in-law's house. Is no more. No, not
Sir,
many people.
one more question, sir.
Yeah, you follow any question. I'm saying you require authentic commitment of teachers.
Sure, sir. In what
makes it
areas diploma institutions can be integrated with higher level institutions, sir?
In
Is there
every
any
area.
specific program for this,
No,
sir, from the part of
no,
government?
You see what I'm saying? Unfortunately, in Indian technical education system, diplomas and degrees have been not integrated. This is what I was mentioning in Japan. There's a vertical integration, almost complete mobility depending upon your capability. If you have desire to go for higher education and you are capable, go in for it. Otherwise, so therefore that degree, we need to create that degree of integration completely. It does not exist. But when it comes to your question of which areas, to me, diploma, degree, ITI are part of the same integrated technical supply chain. So to me, it's not that only mechanical, civil, all that you need to do, ICT digitalization needs to be integrated in your education. So in fact, when I was chairman of a committee in HRD for IT, I had said that there's so much of focus on IT is eroding the core branches of engineering, like mechanical, civil, electrical, so much so that many colleges stopped taking admissions in engineering, civil, mechanical, electrical, electronics. Everybody is only having admission in ITCS, ITCS. This, to my mind, is a very, very wrong trend. Core engineering will never be outdated from the education system. So what I had suggested, let's make core engineering more relevant to the current times. So IT enabled civil engineering, IT enabled mechanical engineering, IT enabled electronics engineering, IT enabled electrical engineering, so that we bring in the concept of software, IT enabled systems and ICT in teaching conventional core branches. By doing this, even ICT would grow and even core branch engineering branches would go. This kind of collaborative effort where IT becomes an enabling technology instead of a replacement technology. Right now, IT is replacing core branches. To me, is a very, very wrong trend. IT should enable core engineering branches to flourish. And in order, therefore, diploma holders to become relevant in degree and higher education, you try to bring in a greater degree of ICT in your teaching learning process, a greater degree of digitalization, a greater exposure to automation, greater focus on those industry 4.2 wherever you can afford to do at least some part of it, and therefore by making yourself relevant, because in engineering and higher level, the industry 4.0 paradigm would come, where greater focus on automation, computerization, digitalization, even in manufacturing. And if diploma students are also able to dovetail, what I saw from Dr. Dhanda Pani's email to me, one of the threats he mentioned is that our diploma students are not able to get into ICT companies because you may not be preparing them for IT exposure. And therefore, IT companies would definitely love to have your diploma students as well, if they had focus on digitalization as integral part of your core branches learning. And this calls for a major breakthrough changes in our curriculum. We start using integrate ICT as an integral part of teaching, even in mechanical, civil, electrical engineering, so that instead of teaching conventional solving problems or design, use softwares for design of buildings and operating machines, and machines being automatic and computer controlled. A fairly good degree of state-of-art knowledge of latest machines should be done, not conventional machines. Now, for example, 3D printing, additive manufacturing is state-of-art. So you should be teaching your students focus on 3D printing and additive manufacturing as compared to conventional, machines that diploma holders have been studying. So update your IT skills.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. What else? Yeah.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
Sir, I am Arunachalam, Civil Engineering,
Yes.
Civil Engineering Department, sir. Sir,
In which
sir, please
department?
give a Arunachalam Civil Engineering Department, sir.
Yeah, civil engineering. Okay, good, Arunachalam. Okay. Tell me.
Sir, please give your suggestions for the national educational policy effectively in the implementation for the diploma level institutions, sir? Please, sir.
Yeah, actually, the National Education Policy NEP 2020, as I said, is a wonderful document.
Yes, sir.
It actually integrates the point I was talking, the gap that existed in technical education system, where the education at college, diploma, and IT are insulated. It does permit, and therefore the movement upwards is an integral part of NEP 2020, where it's quite possible for diploma students to move in, upward in degree, and so on and so forth. But what I'm trying to impress upon, that diploma education is not to be undermined. See, one of the limitations in our country has been we have undermined diploma education, we have undermined ITI, because these are the people who really play a very important role in getting things delivered. And therefore, we need to appreciate their performance. We need to have a better employment perks and privileges for them, because by placing, for example, when I saw that your students get 14,000 rupees a month salary,
Yes, sir.
in a way they would like to do degree. To me, the people at the diploma level should be appreciated, encouraged, and paid very well,
Yes, sir.
so that the mad rush for acquiring a degree, and now degree people are getting disenchanted with degree level because their employability is low. So therefore, don't undermine diploma education. Unfortunately, society also does not give the diploma institution that degree of respect and support as it should be. To me, as I mentioned, is a pyramid. National education policy, fortunately, provides this, that focus on integrated education, right from diploma to degree to postgraduate, with frequent movement up and down. For example, if you know you can't, degree is not your cup of tea, be happy with a diploma and get into the world of business. You were admitted for a degree program, you exited with a diploma. Right now, this provision doesn't exist in IIT. It doesn't exist in engineering colleges. If you're admitted for BTech, either you get a BTech, you get nothing. The new education policy permits you to exit a degree program with a diploma, or exit a degree program with a certificate, or a diploma program entering into a degree program, or a degree entering into postgraduate. So this degree of modularity and flexibility is a very powerful instrument. Multidisciplinarity. A student studying mechanical engineering can take very many courses in computer science and information technology. A student studying in civil engineering can take some courses in mechanical, electrical, civil, and computer science. So that degree of flexibility, so modularity, flexibility, and integrating IT is an important part. So AICTE has developed a big implementation document, of which I was a member of the committee. We have given to the government of India a document for implementation. Another very important part, which AICTE NEP 2020, which perhaps may be relevant to you, is to imparting education in your mother tongue and regional language. For that, even at degree level, and much more for diploma level. And the rational logic was that people who are going to the world of work after diploma or after degree, when they are doing, generally the entry level job is supervisory job. You are in a field operations, you are supervising people constructing projects at a field site. You are an overseer, you are assistant engineer, junior engineer.
Yes, sir.
It's very likely that a junior engineer or assistant engineer
Yes, sir.
would be able to communicate more effectively with people on the speaking their language that they know. So therefore, undue focus in teaching, learning only in English
Yes, sir.
is now no longer, and that's why now it's possible for you to deliver engineering education in your mother tongue.
Yes, sir.
And there are some even in degree, not only diploma. And therefore, the reason was that people can have better employability if they understand a concept in their mother tongue, while not undermining English. English then becomes an international link language for communicating. But then for acquiring concepts, you could study in your own mother tongue, understand the technology in a far more effective way. And now the AICTE is developing large number of textbooks in mother tongue, in regional languages. So that's a new feature. And to me, this might really enhance the employability much more, because people who may not be very good in English might be able to acquire a better understanding of the subject if these subjects are taught in their mother tongue. And in any case, when they go to the world of work, most of the time you'll be speaking in a language that the labor and the people at the shop floor are able to understand. And many times you'll be able to be a better supervisor if you speak their language. So that's a very new major dimension that the national education policy had brought in.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable suggestions, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So,
Sir,
if there are,
can
if there are any questions,
delivering vote of thanks, sir?
yeah, please. I'm through with now. It's for you, as I said. Now it's for you to. Please feel free to conclude
Sure.
this session now.
Our Professor Dr. Rajaram will be delivering vote of thanks, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Rajaram. Okay. Please.
Sir, I take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks.
It's a Satya Murthy who's speaking.
No, sir. This is Dr. Rajaram, sir. This is Dr. Rajaram.
Okay. Never mind. You see, when you don't even see people who are speaking, I only see what I see on my my screen. Never mind. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, I want to quote again the words of Calvin Coolidge. No person was ever honored for what he received. Honor has been required for what he gave. Actually, we are very fortunate, privileged, honored to have a senior professor who has contributed much to the welfare of our society, nation, especially engineering education, like the introduction of the subject of operation in all engineering programs, who has worked as a director of IITs and established a IIT in India. It was a very great opportunity for staff like us and our students. So I take this opportunity to thank Chairman AICTE, Director of Faculty Development Cell, and his team, who has given us this opportunity interaction with you. On behalf of our management, our technical education commissioner, and our faculty members and students, our principal, Dr. C. Dandapani sir, and all the people who have been involved in this great initiative for bringing quality to technical education, as the topic itself was improving quality in technical education. Definitely, sir, the initiative like this will definitely improve the quality of technical education. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your introductory talk on this quality. We look forward for continual interaction with you, because this is a great opportunity to have a contact with a very great person in quality like you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I thank one and all who has arranged this program and participated in this program and who are listening this program. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.